I was going to kill my best friend, and considering my skill set, that wasn't an empty threat. Lincoln. Better clear it with Kiva first. I stared at the text message reply, letting the hurt and anger build, until I thought I was losing my mind. I'd hiked all the way over to the main road to get a signal long enough to text Lincoln about wanting to come out to visit. You see, my best friend had gotten married to my little sister. I'd tried to keep them apart, back when I thought it was just a fleeting attraction. But turned out those two were the real deal. I'd finally given them my blessing, but not until my sister had frozen me out of her life for punching Lincoln in the face and scaring him away for 5 years. It was a long story, but suffice it to say, I had crow to eat, and I was doing my best to get going on that. But my sister was being a mighty pain in my ass. I shoved the phone back in my pocket and started hiking back to the tent I'd set up yesterday morning when I got into town. I finally had the military in the rearview mirror, yet somehow found myself still doing special assignment undercover work. Men normally fucked up a lot of things in their lifetimes, but I'd doubled down on the stupid and found myself without a family or a career. Being here in the small town of Blue Ball was the start of getting some sort of family back, namely my sister. This was the most important mission ever, and I wasn't going to go in there guns blazing without at least scoping out the situation first. The dark green tent was right where I'd left it, a sad, temporary home that was on par with my life recently. I reached inside the tent and grabbed the one clean t-shirt I had left, putting it on and throwing the old t-shirt and the jacket back inside. It was cold out here this time of year, but I'd always run hot. At the last minute, I threw my cell phone back in the tent, zipped it up, and hiked out to where I'd squirreled my truck away behind a thicket of bushes near the highway. I needed to clear my head, and an ice-cold beer sounded like just the thing. Not in Blue Ball, though, as I hadn't told anyone I was in town. Far as my sister and my best friend knew, I was still on the East Coast. It was better that way. I needed to get the lay of the land, figure out a way to get back into my sister's life, and help her the way I should have years ago. I'd find a weakness, and then I'd swoop in to save the day, thus getting back into her good graces. So Auburn Hill it was. The only bar that little town had to offer was called The Tavern. It was as old and crusty as you'd assume from the name, but the beer was cold, and the bartender was as ornery as I was. If memory served, he wouldn't try to engage me in conversation, and that was all right with me. The place was hopping, the sound level so high the second I opened the door, I almost walked right back out. My stomach let out an unholy rumble, and I pressed on, finding an empty spot at the scarred bar top and bellying up.